All right, welcome to another episode of Overpowered with me and this Android. What's on your face?
This is the Quest 3. I got it and it is lovely. Have you ever tried mixed reality?
I have the Quest from before this.
But the Quest from before this, the Quest 2 doesn't have mixed reality. The Quest 3 has mixed reality. There's this game I played yesterday called Broken Edge where it's your house. This samurai comes into your house and it feels like he's actually there. It's such a surreal, weird feeling because I was like sword fighting a samurai who was in my house. It was so weird. I'd love to talk about it on the episode, but in the episode.
Yeah, let's get on with it. Welcome to Overpowered. All right, big news this week, Varun. You guys made an entire anime using like some 30 different AI tools. Tell me about this. By the way, it looks really cool. I want to give the viewers a quick glimpse of what it looks like right now.
बेटा, आज मैं तुम्हें वीडियो एडिटिंग की दुनिया की एक कहानी सुनाता हूँ। बहुत साल पहले वीडियो एडिटिंग में दो महारथी थे। वो साथ मिलकर अपनी शक्तियों का उपयोग करके दुनिया को बेहतर बनाने लगे। पर एक दिन उनमें से एक को एहसास हुआ कि वो एडिटिंग की शक्तियों का उपयोग करके लोगों की यादों को बदल सकता है। उसने अपने साथी को धोखा दिया, बुराई का रास्ता अपनाया, जनता को ब्रेन वॉश किया और दुनिया पर राज करने लगा।
First of all, I just want to say that did you write the script using GPT?
Yeah.
You should have written it on your own. Okay.
Yeah.
The script, the actual writing could have been better, but the way it was shot and it looks really cool, that is super impressive. Tell me about the process.
So we actually didn't think it was possible. We saw the Corridor Crew video. Corridor Crew had an anime video. We've covered it before. And they used a technique called warp fusion. So we saw a new technique pop up, or rather we saw a new model pop up. This was called animate diff. Okay. Before that, there was one, we didn't use that. But then there was animate diff. So we said, this is really cool. But we didn't know if it would work. So I just asked GPT to quickly generate some, script for me. And then we took the team to a green screen studio. We had only 3 hours in the green screen studio. So we said, guys, let's shoot whatever. So we didn't even know if it would work. So we just shot whatever. There was no storyboarding. There was no thought put behind. We used the same lapel mics and it was just like, let's just record this. And we came back. And then I said, okay, maybe we'll have to go reshoot again because I'll tinker with this and see if it worked. But then after a couple of weeks of just experimenting, I tried many different workflows. But after a couple of weeks of experimenting, it was quickly clear to me that this is possible. So we rolled with the same footage. We shouldn't have done that. I think we should have reshot the footage and done it properly. But it was more like a tech demo for us. I'll tell you how the process works. Okay, people think this is only AI, but it's also a lot of AR. It's also a lot of augmented reality. So on your iPhone, and I think, dude, the iPhone is awesome now in the sense that it's got LiDAR. So I can just, there's a free app called Camtrack AR. I can put you in any scene. Like I can do CGI, the level of Disney CGI by just using the iPhone. And earlier you need green screens, you need crazy lighting and stuff. We replaced all of that. So the green screens, obviously we went to a green screen studio, but even that green screen studio was a very cheap green screen studio. So the ceiling lights were still there. In the shot, you'd be seeing the ceiling lights. So we used an AI tool called Segment Anything to remove all the foreground characters out of the background. And I was mind blown by how accurate it is. Like
What is Segment Anything?
So let me show you, okay? So Segment Anything is this AI by Facebook, where if you have a picture and you click on some element in the picture, it'll get all the outlines. I think this solves rotoscopy. Like if I had to bet a rotoscopy person versus Segment Anything is probably 96% as accurate. And it's instant. Like it takes a few minutes, no human effort. You can do multiple, different scenes as quickly as you can. So Segment Anything is very, very, very accurate. In fact, I saw some demos of Segment Anything where you take a very, very grainy footage and still it's able to pick out the objects from that image. So we were able to do that. So all the characters we ripped out from the scene, even though we had green screen. And then for the background, because we were using this app called CamTrack AR, we were able to get a 3D camera. So as we moved the camera in the real world, we were able to get the 3D camera in the 3D world. So we dumped that into some scenes in Unreal Engine, some scenes in Blender. We made a quick scene by ourselves. And we use a tool called Blockade AI to make the skybox. So all the skies in all the scenes are actually made digitally using AI. And then all we did was stitch the footage together, dump it through our own flow, which is based on animative. Let me just quickly show you the flow. I'm not going to zoom in too much. It's a pretty complicated flow. Probably not wise to go deeper here. But essentially, we made custom models for all the characters. Then we took out the best pictures out of those models. We actually trained those models on synthetic data. So we put ochres in different lighting. We used an AI tool to change the lighting. We trained a model of that. Then we threw that into the best outputs from that model, because that model is not very consistent. We took the best outputs from the model, used another technique called IP adapters, and then fed those images in. And then the output is great. Right. So this took us some trial and error to get there. And then everything else, all the static shots with the cameras moving and all that was all Midjourney, and some Pika Labs and all the others. So
what did you use Midjourney for?
So there is one shot in the anime where, Ocus is standing and there's a planet and he's holding the planet where his hands are moving slightly. That's Midjourney. We did Midjourney
and Runway.
Yeah. And Runway. Actually, not even Runway. We manually removed the hands and we made it, move around.
Got it.
So there's a lot of editing in it. I think the video is like 50% video editing, 50% AI. But I think what we were trying to prove mostly to ourselves was this is possible, right? Like, the average cost, and you can Google this, people don't believe this, but the average cost per episode of any anime, let's say Dragon Ball Super or Naruto or whatever, is about 1 crore. It's probably 1 crore and a half.
How much did you spend?
10,000 rupees, except for the cameras, which we already had.
Okay, so for the green screen studio and labor, basically.
Yeah, no, this not including talent, not including paying people, but the shoot was so short, right? And almost all the AI stuff was done by me. So the shoot was so short that 3 hours of time you can get from your friends also. So excluding those costs, we brought the cost down from 1 crore to
1,000.
Yeah, it's very, very low, right? Now, obviously, if you had talent costs and all, maybe it would go up to maybe, if you're getting good talent and maybe not a celebrity, but maybe it'll go up to 1 lakh and a half. But the fact of the matter is bringing that cost down so low. And obviously, it's not equivalent to anime level quality because they're drawing every frame. We don't have that level of control. But to bring the cost down that much means that now every person can create their own anime. Like literally every Indian can. Dude, we can now make such an impact in the world of media because now we can create animated content. And animated content can always, like with Pixar and all, we learned this, right? Disney was considered the storyteller of the American Empire. In India, this storyteller of American Empire is still, of the Indian Empire is still old school news. The problem with old school news where somebody's just writing content or somebody's just, talking about stuff is you can't exaggerate very easily. Like you can't do satire very easily. Like in a way, AIB did that, right? But doing it with comics means people don't have to put their own faces on, which means more people can do it. They can do it at scale. So in a way, it makes India very competent in the world of media.
You just used these many AI tools and to generate this.
Yeah, but it will be one click in a few years. In like 2-3 years. Like we were only thinking this workflow and we're probably so AV does these cohorts. So we're just probably going to give the workflow out there. The thing is, the hard part is figuring out the workflow. And over time, I'm sure people will improve that workflow, right? Once we put it out in the world. So I don't think that's the differentiator anymore. I think it's like you need to have the will to do it. You need to understand storytelling. You need to understand music. You need to understand, we were doing it. It's weird. I'm saying this because we were more doing it from a tech perspective. But the next time we do it, we'll probably get a few creators on. We'll think through the story. We'll make it really fun.
Yeah. Once you know how to get X quality just visually.
Yeah, when we shot it, I couldn't even tell what the end output would look like.
Correct.
So I wasn't.
But now that you did it once, next time you'll be able to do it better, more efficiently. Maybe spend like more than 3 minutes on the script.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
GPT spat it out.
Yeah. So the thing with shooting stuff and making stuff look a certain way is that once you shoot it and you know what it looks like, next time that process becomes faster, quicker, and you're able to optimize to make the act of doing the whole thing a lot easier. So for example, what did you think your workflow would be like and what did it end up being like?
So we thought we'd make a custom model And we thought that should be good enough. But the problem with the custom model is there are a lot of frames in the custom models that just come out badly. Like there's some lighting conditions where the face will just get really screwed. But there's another technique called IP adapters where the output is much better. You just feed the best outputs from your custom, the exports from your custom model into IP adapters, and then the output is much, much, much better. That is something, there's no documentation on this on the internet, right? About you take a custom model output and put an IP adapter. There's zero information about this on the internet. It's just we tried. We're just like, oh, like I would probably made like 10, 20 models. I would have probably done like 100, 200 generations. One of them just ended up being really good. And then you're like, this is really good. What if I tried this again? Also, there's one thing I learned during this entire process, which is a little bit scary. It is, AI, at least with images and with video, actually even with text, works in a very, sounds like, looks like way. You've played those games when you're young where like, give me a word that sort of sounds like this. AI works similarly. So if let's say there's a fight scene we did, right? In towards the ending where two characters are fighting. That wasn't shot. What we did is we used a 3D program and we made two characters that look kind of similar to our characters. Just one of the characters, we pulled the hair down or whatever, right? And then we choreographed that fight scene. So we just dumped that into AI with IP adapters where we showed real character, me on the left, Okus on the right, and we just dumped that in. And we said, okay, can it match? And it was not great, but it's pretty good. And so it shows me that you could mock something up in 3D and then kind of project textures on it. And there are tools now in Blender. These are things I found out along the way. There are tools in Blender now which allow you, called Dream Textures, which allow you to project textures on the environment and characters.
Like skin-like textures.
Skin-like textures using stable diffusion, right? So you want to make a 3D model, you want to put a skin on it. You no longer need to open Substance Painter and manually paint it. Like, dude, people used to hire droves of people. So the first place I think there is going to be impact, because the anime at the end of the day is just like an AI filter on top of everything, right? On top of the workflow. But I think first disruption will be in games and in media, right? In experiences. So if you want to make a game and you want a character and you want the character to look a certain way, you can just prompt it. That technology exists today. So I was very surprised that Dream Textures exists and you can make any world you want. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. And I think one thing I learned more than anything, because I'm not like an editor, I know the AV folks are, but yeah, I just understood the value of a lot of things. Like storyboarding for anime needs to be very different from storyboarding for the real world. Because you can do a lot of exaggerated shots. And when it ends up being exaggerated, if you shoot it the way you should in the real world, it comes out a little bit cringe. So it's stuff like that I learned, I guess.
All right. I think you're going to make this part of the AV cohorts. Like this,
Yeah.
This would be a module saying, okay, here's how you can make your own anime now.
Yeah. I also think there's going to be a new market that will open up with this, which is that I think, dude, people will want animation. India has never historically produced animation for even India, right? The best we have is Chota Bheem, and that takes a lot of money and time to produce. The minute it can get lower, companies will want this. And when companies want it, the fact that you'll be able to bring it down, maybe with your margins and everything, you probably charge 3-4 lakhs an episode. That is still a big win for every company. That's a big win for you. That's a big win for the company. That's a big win for the country, right? So I'm glad that this has been unlocked. We were just the conduit of the technology. The technology exists. So I'm excited we're in this world.
Yeah, it's net cost of content creation is going to zero. Still reminds me of that Brian Norgard tweet where he said that at the end of the day, it's going to be purity of your taste that's going to stand out, because cost of content is going to zero.
Yeah. I mean, it makes people, like, for example, you write ads. It just makes somebody like you so much more powerful because you're just like, well, the execution tools are available, right?
Correct.
So you scale yourself in a way. So
Yeah.
I feel a lot more people like that will pop up. Will be like, I'm a great idea person and I know how to execute it. I have the experience of executing it. So here are the tools that let me execute faster.
All right. Awesome. You guys should definitely go to the AV channel and watch the full video. I saw the whole thing. It's really worth watching.
Awesome. Tanmay, you bought the Meta Quest?
No, you got the Meta Quest 3, right?
It's too good. It's too good. So I've never actually used mixed reality. Like I've used it on the phone in the sense you can have like a lion or tiger pop up in your scene on the phone. Google has these things. But dude, the Quest is like a whole different deal. So there's a game I played called Aspire, okay, where you're in a room, you map out the room and the mapping of the room is perfect, okay? And you have these agents, these spy agents walk in the room. And then another game where your zombies walk in the room. And me and Achina were playing it. You can play this multiplayer. We have another Quest in the room. It's just so wild. It's just so wild. The boundary between my walls and they now create a world outside those walls is crazy. Dude, the closest, I thought it'll feel like a game. It feels like a trip.
Dude, I want to watch this video that's on screen right now. This video is fucking mind blowing.
So this is somebody learning piano on the Quest.
This is one of the coolest things that you can do in mixed reality right now. This app is called Piano Vision, and this is my actual piano. You can actually do this without a piano. We're going to use my actual piano, and I'm going to show you what this is. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Dude, this makes me want to buy the Quest 3 immediately. This is too good because I've been trying to learn how to play the keyboard for a while now, and this just makes this experience like 50x better.
Dude, you know what else you can do? You can also learn martial arts. There's now an app on the Quest where you can learn martial arts exactly like this. In the real world, do this or your hand position is off, or do this, your hand position is off. Eventually, somebody will allow you to do this with weights because the Quest can see. Okay?
Correct.
Because it's got
Correct.
like an unlimited, it's got like a full array of cameras, lower, left, right.
Dude, now, this can solve for so many things in health, all kinds of like physical learning, including instruments or, a sport, all of it. Dude, imagine this in sport also, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Dude, also, the Quest can kind of see inside. That's how the reprojection of, what's his name? Lex Fridman and
Zuckerberg episode.
Zuckerberg and stuff. I think it might be very useful for doctors because you do a telehealth consultation, you do it on Practo or one of the apps. You're just talking to the doctor. But imagine if I was able to see the patient, right? Now, it's not accurate enough for me to see every single part of the patient. But if you bring that part closely in front of the camera, in front of your camera, and the other person can see like you, the doctor can see like you, I think that's super valuable because the cameras are decent enough resolution, like skin disease and all, you'll be able to see and you'll be able to tell.
That you can do it off FaceTime also. Now you can bring the thing closer.
Yeah, but it's different when you're seeing the person. Like it feels like a full body consultation checkup thing, right?
Oh, I thought inside meaning like camera inside your body. Okay.
No. This is like a full body. Like obviously, you'll still need tools to go inside the body, and I don't think you can do that on the Quest. But it's stuff like that. It's stuff like you want a personal trainer, and you want a personal trainer to train you. Now you can be in the same room as the personal trainer, and the personal trainer like pick that up, do this, do that. So I feel like we now have the ability to get the best in the world right at our houses and teach us the exact form, which your phone couldn't do, right? Like, your hand is like 15%, this thing. And piano and all, this is like crazy. This, I wish this existed 10 years ago. I would have been so much smarter.
Yeah. The ability for a computer brain to see what you're seeing and then start marking out saying, hey, this is how you can get better at this. That is the big unlock, which Quest 2 didn't have. But this is what you're saying. Mixed reality changes the game entirely.
Yeah. And also the Quest resolution is really good. There's a game called Blade and Sorcery that I used to play on the Quest because it's considered a very good game because the physics and all are pretty well done. When you pick up a sword, it actually feels like it has weight and all that. I played that on Quest 3 and I played it on PC VR. So I connect my PC to the Quest 3 and then played it. The quality is so good. It felt like I was like in a different place.
Dude, you can also do cool stuff like you can wear the Quest 3 and take tours of, popular wonders of the world, and you can have like a virtual tour guide because the Quest can see what you're looking at and it can start telling you details about that. There's applications
and you can do it with friends.
Yeah, there's applications in travel, in gaming, in education, in health. This is like across the board. This is very cool. Dude, and so it's way cheaper than Vision Pro.
Yeah, it's way cheaper than Vision Pro. Like in fact, after seeing the Quest, I got very excited by the Vision Pro because I'm like, the Vision Pro is like almost 10 times this cost or whatever, 7, 8 times this cost. So what is hiding in the Vision Pro that's not in the Quest, right? How much better is the Vision Pro going to be? But either way, I'm just excited. And I think the one thing about the Quest compared to any other Quest is you can wear it all the time. With the other quest, I'd bump into walls. Here, the minute you walk even outside your boundary area, it brings up the cameras. It feels like walking around the real world. And you can place objects permanently in space. So if downstairs, if I want to have like a recipe board just hung up on my wall, I can do that. I won't see it right now, but the minute I go downstairs and the quest recognizes one of those play areas.
In your real space, you can have virtual spaces.
Yeah. So if you've seen the Meta Ray-Ban glasses and this eventually is going to merge, I'm pretty confident like a decade we're going to wear this all the time. Right now, the biggest issue with this is battery life. How do you keep it running for 10 hours a day or 20 hours a day? But I think that will eventually be solved. Like if we could do it for the watches and the phones, which at some point in time was impossible. I don't know. I think it's going to be a crazy world when we all wear AR at the same time. And I think, things like Pokemon Go then will become real in a way because we'll all agree that there is a Pikachu there because you can see it, I can see it. And we're just like, we kind of got to agree that it's there. And Tanmay, it's like, also like the kind of games and all that are possible with this are crazy. Like you can now play Age of Empires on a desktop, not on a desktop, on a table. Like, and there'll be fog of war. You can't see the character go through fog, but I will be able to see it if it's my character. They will suddenly attack you. Like tables and walls suddenly become very useful because in the SDK for the Meta Quest, there is something called space anchors. So space anchors means this is a edge. This is a table. You map the table out in the game. Like the minute you put on the quest, you have to map out all the tables, map out all the walls. So it knows where all the tables are. If it knows where a table is, then you can use that as a surface. That's how the Facebook Horizon Workrooms thing works. You need to point at a table and then you need to be like, this is my main table. But also the fact that you can now use the table to play games. So I feel like board games are going to make a comeback and you can be disconnected. You can be very far away from everybody else, but still be very connected.
Imagine doing all of this stuff only to realize that what you really want is the real world experience of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But some people are crazy, dude. There is an entire Reddit community for people who get married in VR. Like there's a game called VR Chat. It's been around for a while. Where you can do the most whack stuff. You can be any character you want. You can be Spider-Man, you can be Iron Man, you can be Hulk, you can be a 1,000-foot character. You can swing around if you want. You can be in any place. All the places are mapped. It's the most toxic community, but people actually get married there. So I know people on the Reddit community who are literally married to another person. I don't know the world we are kind of entering into, but I think the biggest application of this is why do you even need a real person on the other end? Now that we have LLMs and GPT, why can't the person you're hanging out in VR or AR be GPT?
Okay, how much is the Quest 3 for in India?
I got it for 60K. I think it's available, that's because I bought it early, but I think you now get it for 50, 45, 50. But worth it. Customs is I think the biggest headache, but it's, in my opinion, it's worth it because we want to develop some stuff for it. We want to play around with it, so we got it early. The cost adjusts itself if something we build works. But yeah, I think everyone should get it. It's cool.
Okay, awesome.
Elon Musk has launched a new AI. What do you think about this? This will tell you how to make cocaine step by step.
I mean, Elon, in classic Elon style, he said, okay, the AI that we launch is going to have a sense of humor and that kind of stuff. And it has Twitter data for it to train. And it has real-time Twitter info that you can also scroll through, which I think is the one huge advantage, right? Like if I go and ask for saying, hey, what did Joe Biden do today? It will actually be able to tell you, unlike what GPT does, unlike what Claude does, unlike what everybody else does, who have to scrape the web to get it. And honestly, like GPT browsing is not good, but I'm hoping this AI is much better at that.
I have a theory, okay? There's a Google paper that came out today that said that LLMs generalize to the data set they are trained on and very little outside of the data set. But because this data set is all of our tweets, and I'm sure my tweets are there, I'm sure your tweets are there, in a way, this is probably the best model to pretend to be us.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to say, talk like Tanmay Bhatt, this is probably the best model because we've been trained on all your tweets. So it will sound like your tweets. It's generalized to your tweets. That is what I'm most excited about. I think there is value in this being like a character.ai, where we like talk like Elon, talk like Tanmay, talk like Varun.
No, but also just real-time information is super useful.
Yeah, but all of these guys are using a technique called RAG for real-time information. I'm sure even, OpenAI is using something similar. It's it's real time, but the more that information you pack into it, the more it starts hallucinating. But I think everyone's going to have that. Like Bard, definitely. Like Bard feels like the left out this one, right? Bard has the best real time data, but everyone's like, oh, Bard's not even in the race. It's just OpenAI and this new thing now. But real time is no longer a differentiator. But I like the fact that it's not woke.
Yeah, I like that it's not woke either. I don't know. There's just something attractive about that. Tell me something. I read how many billion parameters is this?
I don't know what the parameter count is. Let me check. It's trained for 2 months. Oh, it's 33 parameters. So Grok 0 is 33 billion parameters, approaches the capability of Llama 2, which is 70 billion parameters. But I don't buy the capability this thing, right? Because they use benchmarks. And the problem with the benchmarks is the benchmarks can be gamed. You start now building models just to beat the benchmarks, right? Where it beats the benchmarks, but it doesn't perform as well in the real world. So until I try it, I can't tell. There was this post by this guy, okay, I don't know who it was, somebody who works at OpenAI, who said, I've trained the most number of models in the world. Okay, he just said that. And he's like, I've trained vision models, I've trained image models, I've trained text models. And it turns out that eventually all the models converge. You train an image model in many different techniques. There are many ways to make image models. Eventually the outputs for, let's say you ask it for a tree in a park, means the outputs start looking similar for all the models as long as they're trained on the same data sets, right? So ultimately the it in AI is data, right? And all of these guys are now realizing this, that the parameter count is fine, but what's the data set has been trained on? So I feel like Twitter is a very valuable data set. See, I'll tell you the difference between Reddit data set and Twitter data set, okay? Twitter has a lot of, like when humans don't have a mask, like on Reddit, they can say whatever and everything, right? On Twitter, people are a little bit shielded, right? And at the same time, there's some crazy people in alongside Twitter, right? So I feel like Twitter's data set is more high quality and also low quality. I mean, the extremes exist. In Reddit, the extremes also exist, but I feel like it again depends on how it got trained, right? Are you taking the most popular tweets? Are you taking every single tweet? Are you taking every Reddit post? So I don't know what the training process is, but it just feels like Twitter has a higher quality data set than Reddit. So the outputs might be better, because I know that really smart people like you or Deepinder Goyal or, smartest in the country, for example, are not sitting on Reddit posting their banger thoughts. But they might be sitting on Twitter.
Twitter is a more instinctive place to post when you have a thought, whereas Reddit is a more thought out, replying to a question.
No, I think Reddit is less thought out. I think there used to be a time where smart people used to be on Reddit. That's gone. Now it's mostly people who are complaining or on Reddit. But if you look at Twitter, Elon Musk is still there. It's still his thoughts. There's still, Jan LeCun.
It's still disorganized though. Like Reddit is more organized and there are niches where, people ask questions and specific needs are discussed on Reddit though.
Yeah, but the best in the world, like a Harsha Bogle is not sitting on Reddit. He's sitting on Twitter, right? In his space. I'm just talking about, Harsha Bogle might not be the best, but I'm just giving examples, right? All the famous people that I know that have actually made it in the real world are more likely to go post on Twitter and put out their thoughts than on Reddit, anonymously putting out their thoughts, except for maybe 1 or 2 AMAs. So I think Twitter is the higher quality data set just from an instinctive perspective. Reddit seems lower quality. And the fact that Elon Musk, I do know that OpenAI is also trained on a little bit of, Twitter's data set. But I think the minute Elon blocked that and said that Twitter data set is only going to be used for Grok, I think it's going to be useful. It's going to be one of the many LLMs that you use. But I think this ability to pretend as Tanmay or Varun will be strongest with this, because it's got all our data anyway.
All right. All the best to Elon. One more thing for him to run. Did you apply? It's not open yet, no? Did you apply?
I applied. But it's pretty cool, man. Like, I think competition always leads to better stuff. So
if they enable stuff like, okay, tweet using AI, my worry is it's just going to be garbage now. You're going to get a lot of
I don't think he's going to let that happen.
I hope not.
It will be cool though. Like, it doesn't, like today, no one is prevented from tweeting like AI or using AI. Like, you can copy stuff from GPT and post it here. There's nothing stopping you from it, but people don't use it as well because people be like, oh, I'll get called out. Some people do use it and then they get called out, right? But at the point where nobody recognizes what is AI and what is not, that's where we start crossing a very dangerous line.
Dude, go to Amitabh Bachchan's Twitter account.
Okay.
Yeah, so Amitabh Bachchan tweeted out this thing last night that I saw. This guy tweeted out saying there's an urgent need for legal and regulatory framework to deal with deepfake in India. there's apparently this viral video of Rashmika Mandana on Instagram, but actually it's a deep fake of someone called Zara Patel. Okay. And the original video is of Zara Patel, and then someone deep faked it. Like, it's impossible to tell that this is not Rashmika, right? Like, the face matches Rashmika almost instantly. And Amitabh Bachchan tweeted out saying, yes, this is a strong case for legal. And then he just tweeted out the word information after that. I don't know what happened there, but it was pretty late night. But this is now, like, my sense is that this is becoming more and more, like, there's a lot more mainstream awareness. And now with elections coming up, like, it's going to be, like, what's preventing someone from making a deepfake video of, you know, the prime minister saying, you know, anything and forwarding it? Like, this is becoming real now. Like, I know we have spoken about this months in the past.
6 months ago, yeah.
6 months ago, but now it's becoming real, and more people are becoming more and more aware, and the tech is actually getting better and better, that anyone would be able to do this on their fucking phone now. You're able to do it very quickly on your phone. That is scary.
It's going to be zero cost, because now if you see the new Google Pixel phone, I think we spoke about this last time, where they have now TPUs on their phone. So all the processing can happen on the phone itself. So it no longer needs to go to the cloud, which means Google doesn't have to spend any money on you generating some AI output. It's just electricity that you're using, which means it's now free. So anyone will just download like one of the deepfake repositories and just say, I'll run it on my own local app, right? And apps can now use local processing. So you get into this place where anyone can create malicious content. You cannot regulate it. How are you going to regulate it? If everyone in the world can create content and some guy sitting in Switzerland or something is generating stuff, pumping stuff for the elections. Because see, all you need is, and my friend Bilal told me this, right, the other day. He was like, at night, 9 p.m., one day before the election, you could get a message from, your political party or some random number on WhatsApp or on your phone
saying don't vote for me.
Don't vote for me. Main thak gaya hu, go vote for the other guy.
Yeah.
And dude, there are people in India who vote because they got a biryani packet.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think they are going to, in their head, be like, this is a deep fake, this is not a deep fake? Like, we really need to make deep fake awareness a thing, because both audio as well as video cloning are really good. Right? And I think, in a way, humor and fun stuff spread this better than anything, because now we have lots of memes of Modi.
Yeah.
So a lot of people now know that, okay, Modi's voice can be cloned. So the minute you know that Modi's voice can be cloned, you will be aware or afraid of every video. But I feel like there's a section of India that's has not even seen this, doesn't even understand this. I could fool my parents with a deepfake pretty well. So
it's here.
That's the big worry.
All the best to all of us.
Have you seen the Meta AI personas?
Dude, I saw it. Basically, Meta launched something like a character AI. Like, they launched, Kendall Jenner as Billy, as a separate profile, where there are some real videos of her saying, hey, I'm Billy. And there are some AI generated images. And the idea here was to have an AI version of Kendall Jenner talking about her life. Now, I think this was to signal that, hey, AI influencers are coming. And second, there was an opportunity for people to talk to effectively a Kendall Jenner version of an AI and talk to this person. And the response wasn't very good. And I understand why. Because see, like, if there is knowledge that you are talking to AI, especially of a celebrity that you think is replying, if there is knowledge that this is AI, there is diminishing return on the dopamine hit, right? It diminishes very quickly. Similarly, many Indian startups are now launching character AI versions of influencers. And I'm a little circumspect. Like, when I use this, I chatted with Mr. Beast's AI version. And it was pretty hollow, man. Like, I didn't feel it. I think it only works when you don't know that this is AI. Right? Like, AI is actually almost like the screensaver of the device, which is that it exists and you don't know that there is artificial intelligence at work here. But if you know, then it's not as fun. This is why attrition rate on like memberships is very high, right? Like, there is diminishing return there. Once you know that you get certain access because you paid, there is diminishing dopamine. And once you know that you have AI, there is diminishing dopamine, which is that, oh, this is not real. I didn't get this off like I didn't own this. What do you think?
I think the confusing thing for me was why they didn't call it Kendall AI. It's in the
Correct.
tweet as well, right? Like,
Correct.
why? Like the names really confuse me. Snoop Dogg is some dungeon master or something, right?
Correct.
That really confused me. But I'll tell you the form factor for this. Okay, I've been saying this for a while, but I think this is going to be the form factor. There's no reason this has to be on the phone. Okay, to me, I think you will now have paintings on the wall. You will now have action figures that are all AI. I'll explain what that means. I want the knowledge of Tanmay Bhatt and his ad writing skills on my wall. So when I'm writing an ad, I can just be like, Tanmay, what do you think of this? Right? This is completely possible right now. You just need a small camera on your painting frame. You need an LED screen. Okay. The camera is to make sure that the thing has eye contact. You need local processing. You can have there are chips now available that you can just put in. So it doesn't need to go to the cloud. The latency now is probably half a second. I can talk to it and in half a second it responds. I could hang it on my wall. It'll be whatever. You'll plug it into electricity and then it just pops up. Tanmay is there. And I'm like, Tanmay, how do I solve this? Tanmay, how do I solve this? And it need not be Tanmay, right? It could be you have a physics problem and you have Alak Pandey there. You're like, Alak, how do I solve this problem? All of that is going to be possible. So I think the phones are the wrong form factor for this.
No. Phones is the most accessible. So I think phones are definitely...
It's accessible, but because we have access to real humans on the phone, I think we will always choose to interact socially. I mean, if we have that access. But me just having surrounded by all these people, all my action figures, like Alexa was terrible, like in comparison to how I thought it should have come out, right? Latency was high, AI was garbage. But I think having like an action figure in my house, let's say an action figure of Spider-Man where it has all Spider-Man lore and I'm able to talk to it about just motivation, right? Like, Peter, what would you do in this situation? That I think is very valuable. And I think the first place it's going to be used is in religion. Because the biggest differentiator for a lot of people, let's say selling a Ganesha idol is, what if I can put the spirit of Ganesha in this? It's a very weird concept, but it's going to happen, right? Like religion has actually never shied away from technology. They've always gone and put technology in everything. Even temples today, you'll do UPI and you'll get in, right? You'll have a slotted system on the phone. So it makes sense to me that at some point they will put it inside of it, but then you'll have arguments. People will have arguments on, oh, that's not actually what Ganesha would say. I have a better model of Ganesha. So I feel like the world might, I don't know. It's so weird. Like anything with lore, you can now put into physical objects. So I don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Imagine going to a temple and you can talk to God now.
Yeah, you can have God at home. Your idols can talk to you. And I know that to you and me, it might feel silly, okay? But you look at old parents, like 80, 90-year-old, God talking to them is like a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah.
I know my grandparents would be stunned if something like this happens. They'll be like, how? I feel like having something that responds back, a God that finally answers back is wild. And I think for different people, it's going to be different gods, right? Somebody would have Iron Man in the house and be like, I want Tony Stark's idea on this. I want Tony Stark's viewpoint on this. So anything that you grew up loving can now be part of your homes, can now be part of your houses. And a lot of kids who buy toys will now grow up with toys that talk. Have you seen the Moxie toy?
Yeah, I've seen the Moxie toy. Yeah.
So there's a toy called Moxie that walks around, talks to you. It's powered by GPT now. So kids will grow up with talking things. Like today's kids, the generation after Gen Z, Gen X, I don't know what they're called. They've never grown up without technology. They don't know a world without social media. They've never seen a world without social media. You and I can remember it to a certain extent. My parents definitely remember it. But the next generation will not remember a world where anything was static. Your screwdriver will have intelligence.
That's true.
But I had an interesting idea. And I think it's a good V1.0. Like with AI, everything is a V1.0, right? I think everyone's learning. No one has enough experience in this. Like no one has experience of how the users will use something or how it'll actually end up coming out. You'll work on the problem. You'll know this is technologically possible. Like our anime, right? But then in V2 or V3, when you've gained that experience, now you'll put out something, you'll be like, users will like this or users will not like this. That experience takes some time and it's all so new that no one's had any time to perfect it.
All right. That's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit the subscribe button so we keep showing up on your timeline and follow us on Instagram as well. You'll see an abridged version of the whole episode in the form of reels.
It's for lazy people.
It's for lazy people. See you next time.
Bye.